This edition of Elko Live here on KELK is featuring our friends from the not Nevada, but the Great Basin College Humanities Center. We have our very own Humanities Center, which of course does get support from Nevada Humanities Center and any other number of cultural organizations. Katie Karnehm-Esh is coordinator here in Elko at GBC. Katie, welcome to the program today.
Hello, Lori. I'm so happy to be back here.
I'm so happy to have you back because we're going to say goodbye to March and hello to April because there's a lot happening this month, right, at GBC.
There is so much happening just in the Humanities Center this much at GBC, much less everything else. So I'm excited to talk about it.
And you have brought a very special guest today. I'm so delighted to introduce to the community. Obviously, she's already known because of her championship. She is our Nevada state winner. Elko's very own Kyara Hernandez-Duarte, 2025 Nevada Poetry Out Loud champion.
Woo. Hello, hi. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much, Kyara. Thank you for bringing your beautiful talent to the stage. You were a finalist as well in 2024. And something special is happening in May, right?
Yes, I will be headed to DC for Poetry Out Loud Nationals.
Fantastic. And you don't have to wait, of course, to hear her or figure out a way to hear her in DC or buy a plane ticket and go hear you. Because, Katie, you're going to host a special event that will include her.
Yes, we'll talk about that a little bit more later, but one of the events I've been planning since I got to GBC in September is our Latino Poetry Series. We did one in Winnemucca in October, and then I always knew I was going to be doing one in April for National Poetry Month, but I was trying to find the right local connection, and Kyara appeared like a miracle. So we're so happy that worked out.
Oh, that's great. So, Kyara, we are going to feature your award-winning poem that was performed in Carson City. We're going to let you obviously talk about that, the significance of your selection. But let's find out a little bit more about you. You're an Elko High School senior, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. So tell us about maybe the things or the clubs that you've been involved in and how you discovered your passion for poetry, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, throughout my 4 years of high school, I've been really involved in public speaking in general. It started with speech and debate my freshman year. I honestly just joined it for fun, and then I just became so attached to it. My previous coach, Dr. Wallach, he saw something in me and did a really good job at fostering that, and he added me to the varsity team. And so just getting to travel with them just made me really love competing. And so from there, it kind of took off. Then I was really involved in Future Business Leaders of America, which also involves some public speaking. I've done a little bit of theater. Unfortunately, just because of like time scheduling things, I haven't been able to be a part of a show, but I've competed with them as well. And then I've also done other public speaking competitions. Like this year for scholarships, I'm involved with the Lions Club, and I get to go to Fallon, Nevada, April 26th to go compete for a $5,000 scholarship. So I'm doing that. And then Poetry Out Loud, I started since my sophomore year. And again, due to scheduling conflicts, I wasn't able to compete at the district level, but I did compete at the school level. And from there, I really loved it. And my junior year, I decided to take it a little bit more seriously. And once I competed at the state level, I just fell in love with it and decided to really go full force my senior year.
Well, Kyara, you've made us so proud. And there was some fierce competition. I mean, the finalists, the others who made it in from all over the state.
Yes, absolutely. I honestly love to see the other competitors and their poems. There's something so special. Everyone just takes it and makes it so personal to them. Obviously, I'm so nervous, like right before I go up. Whenever they're competing, I'm like trying to pay attention, but I'm also like, oh my God, my heart's about to jump out of my chest. But once I do it, I just love getting to watch them.
Oh, and Kyara, that is such an awesome feeling because I often tell people if they're nervous, well, if you didn't care, you wouldn't be nervous, but because you care. Yeah.
Yes, my coach always says, you know, you're nervous if something is, or you're nervous if something important is about to happen.
Yeah, well, that's great. And Kyara, we're going to play your poem, okay?
All right.
All right. So without further ado, this was performed 2025 Poetry Out Loud. The competition was in Carson City and featured finalists from throughout the state. Shaun Griffin, who was our state poet laureate, he introduced the poets during this competition.
Next poet is from Elko, Kyara Hernandez-Duarte.
Ars Poetica by Jose Olivares. Migration is derived from the word migrate, which is a verb defined by Merriam-Webster as to move from one country, place, or locality to another. Plot twist: migration never ends. My parents moved from Jalisco, Mexico to Chicago in 1987. They were dislocated from Mexico by capitalism, and they arrived in Chicago just in time to be dislocated by capitalism. Question: is migration possible if there is no other land to arrive in? My work. To imagine. My family started migrating in 1987 and they never stopped. I was born mid-migration. I've made my home in that motion. Let me try again. I tried to become American, but America is toxic. I tried to become Mexican, but Mexico is toxic. My work: to do more than reproduce the toxic stories I inherited and learned. In other words, just because it is art doesn't mean it is inherently non-violent. My work: to write poems that make my people feel safe, seen, or otherwise loved. My work: to make my enemies feel afraid, angry, or otherwise ignored. My people. My enemies, capitalism. Susan Sontag: victims are interested in the representation of their own sufferings. Remix: survivors are interested in the representation of their own survival. My work: survival. Question: why poems? Answer:
Thank you, Kyara.
Wow, Kyara Hernandez-Duarte. She is the state winner, Nevada Poetry Out Loud. She is an Elko High School senior. And wow, that is so powerful.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you saying that.
How did you choose this poem, Kyara?
I chose this poem for a few different reasons. The first reason I would say is because of a piece of advice my coach told me. My coach for both speech and debate and poetry out loud has been Megan Voth, and she always tells us to pick a poem that we feel really connected to. And since we're going to be spending so much time with that poem, you want to make sure you have a deep connection with it. Otherwise, that performance is not going to be what it can. And so when I was searching, I came across this poem on the anthology online, and I just felt super connected to it because of the second reason. At the time, I found it my sophomore year, and my speech and debate coach at the time, Dr. Wallach, had recommended a chapter of a book to me. And the book is Borderlands La Frontera, the New Mestiza by Gloria Anzaldúa. It's a bit of a memoir, but it talks a lot about the themes discussed in this poem, obviously a lot more in depth. And when I was reading that, chapter 5 was talking about linguistic assimilation and just kind of like this struggle between duality and existing in two cultures. And so when I was reading that book, that was really transformative. And then I found this poem which talked about what I was reading, and I just felt so connected. The line about, I tried to become American, but America is toxic. I tried to become Mexican, but Mexico is toxic, just really resonated with me. And so it's by far my favorite poem out of the ones that I recite. I just feel so connected to it. And I like to think that the other two poems I chose are thematic, and so that first one definitely lays that foundation for the themes in my mind. I don't know if that comes off to the audience or the judge, but in my mind it helps to know that there's a theme connecting all of them. And so I just really loved that poem.
Well, it certainly comes through. In fact, Kyara, when you were reciting, I had to remind myself that you were performing the poem because it really did feel like an experience that you'd had.
Yeah, that's awesome that you say that, because that's honestly the goal. Another one of the coaches that's really helped me throughout this process has been Kelly Moon. She used to be a drama teacher and an English teacher at the high school, and so she loves to come back and support Poetry Out Loud whenever she can. And when she coached me, her piece of advice was to make it feel like my own, and she said that that's what she appreciated about my recitation, is that when I say it, it's like the poem feels mine and like I wrote it. And so I don't feel like my poem is fully there, even if it's memorized and I know the hand gestures. I don't think it's fully there for me until I feel like it's coming off that way. And once I connect to it, then I know it's where it needs to be for competition.
Well, and I guess the last thing too, Kyara, since you've been engaged in this practice, in this passion for several years now, and as a young woman, do you think the arts can help us to better understand our world? This is such a tumultuous, painful time.
1,000%. I think that the arts help us understand our world's biggest problems in a way that just kind of lets us look at it through the lens of humanity rather than conflict and division. And I think when I see other people recite poetry and talk about difficult topics in a way that is humanized, it just creates a space to connect with each other and empathize with each other's experiences instead of directly clashing. And so I think the arts really give us the ability to see to kind of step in each other's shoes, and it helps us realize that at the end of the day, we're a lot more similar than we think. And so I think that's definitely important to helping us understand our world.
Kyara Hernandez-Duarte, she is the winner of the Nevada Poetry Out Loud, the state competition. She is headed to Washington, D.C. to represent us in Nevada, Elko County, Elko High School. Family, friends, all of you, we're just so proud of you. Kyara, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
She will be performing in May in Washington, D.C. And we'll come back to you, too, when we close out the program today, too. So,
yes.
Yeah. Well, Katie, wow. Following that, as Humanities Center coordinator, you have to feel a lot better about the future when you hear someone like Kyara. At least I do.
Kyara has been, I studied poetry in undergrad. I was a writing major, and I've always loved poetry for a long time, and I really believe that kind of adage that, like, power corrupts, but poetry cleanses and purifies. And I think as someone who works in education, seeing young people like Kyara coming up and embracing poetry and using poetry to share a story and share a message that I think is very powerful without kind of clobbering you over the head with a message. It's been really encouraging for me to meet Kyara and kind of see what a bright, shining personality she is, and how she's using art to make the world better. So that's been a huge joy for me. And it's really interesting because the events we're working on for Latino poetry they're kind of coming full circle. So she mentioned you got the poem out of the Latino Poetry Anthology online, which the reason we're doing this event is because the Library of America released this Latino Poetry Anthology that we applied for, not knowing Kyara. I didn't know Shaun. I didn't know Kelly Moon. But Kyara and Kelly Moon and Shaun are all going to be reading together as part of this celebration in April. So it's just been a lovely kind of full circle moment for me, kind of getting, and also as someone not from Nevada and not from Elko, but getting to understand the community more and understand the arts community. It's just been so wonderful.
So we want to put this date on our calendars because Kyara will perform alongside other guest artists, poets, and performers on April 14th. There's actually 2 events, right?
There's actually 3.
Okay.
Lori, all in a row. But,
no, that's wonderful. It's lovely.
I'll talk about Latino poetry first, and then I'll talk about the other 2 events. So April 14th, we have two events. Shaun Griffin will be coming to town to be joining us. He is going to lead a poetry workshop at the GBC High-Tech Center, room 121. That will be at 4:30 p.m. It'll go for 1 hour. We will Zoom it, and it will also be in person. I think the room can accommodate about 33 people. We really want to prioritize our high school and GBC students to come in person if possible. So if you are a GBC student on spring break right now listening to this, and you're especially a high school dual credit student, please consider coming. So he'll be doing a poetry workshop. Kyara is going to be there as well. And he's going to be using the Latino Poetry Anthology kind of as a base for his instruction. So there'll be some discussion about the poems in the anthology, as well as using those poems to help us write our own poems. So poetry workshop, 4:30 p.m., April 14th in the High-Tech Center at GBC's campus, room 121. Then at 6:30 p.m., Kyara, Shaun, and Kelly Moon are going to do a reading at the Western Folklife Center and the Pioneer Bar. So they'll each take some turns reading. So we'll have a kind of a little poetry reading celebration at the Western Folklife Center later that evening. Yeah, and I'm just really, really excited. We have our Nevada Poet Laureate coming. We have this up-and-coming talent. We have Kelly Moon, who I haven't met yet, but has been so influential, so I'm just really excited. And then Shaun is going to be in Elko the following day for GBC's Humanities Center's book club. We're going to be discussing his memoir, River Ask Me Why, Into the West on Two Wheels. It's a memoir about him and his two adult sons going on this hundreds of miles bike ride across the West. That book will be in the GBC library this afternoon if you would like to come and get a copy and read it, so you can join our book club discussion. That will be from 12 to 1 in McMullen Hall, room 102. It will also be on Zoom, and that Zoom link is on our website. And so April 15th, book club, April 14th, Latino poetry, and then April 13th, this is a bit of a drive, but we're partnering with Nevada Humanities, Nevada Outdoor School for what's called a Natural Wonders in Winnemucca Sensory Nature Walk. That will be at Water Canyon Recreational Area. And Phil Corbett will be leading that walk. It'll be at 1 p.m. It's free, but we do need people to register ahead of time. That information will be on our website shortly, as well as with the Eventbrite link. So if you would like to go, just sign up on the Eventbrite link so we know how many people are coming. So, so April 13th and 14th and 15th, the Humanities Center is doing a lot of stuff, and we would love to have as many people as possible there.
Thank you, Katie. Katie Karnehm-Esh is Humanities Center Coordinator for Great Basin College. I'm glad that you mentioned Phil Corbett. Phil is definitely worth the trip to Winnemucca, and there might be some people carpooling, so you can certainly reach out. But he is a sound expert, and if you have not heard his broadcast, he has a program called Postcards from the Wind, and they're broadcast on local public radio, on KUNR, KNCC, and he's just a sound genius. He crafts these programs, and they're beautiful. But on this walk, I understand, he's going to help us better participate in nature by understanding what we're listening to and what we're listening for.
Yeah, it's going to be a very sound-focused walk, so it'll be a lot of paying attention to sound. And then part of my role, and Kim from a Nevada Outdoor School, we're also going to be helping people kind of think about creative prompts to kind of help interpret the sounds that they're encountering. So it's nature, it's sound, it's creativity. I think it'll be a really wonderful time.
And it is presented by not only Great Basin College Humanities, but Nevada Humanities, again with special guest Phil Corbett leading a sensory nature walk at Water Canyon Recreation Area. So that is really cool. That is on April 13th from 1 to 2:30.
Right.
All right. So any other, what else is going on at Great Basin College Humanities? But it really is the beginning of a busy season, I would have to say, right, at GBC? You're gearing up for commencement. Commencement
will be coming. We're trying to kind of get our events in before students leave for the summer, although I'm hoping we'll be doing some cool summer things as well. Just looking ahead, April 24th, we're actually going to do a second book club in April. So April 24th is a Thursday. That one will be in the evening, be from 5 to 6. Same room in McMullen Hall 102. This book is called The Day That Went Missing, A Family Story. It's by Richard Beard, and it's about a family who experienced a tragedy and then just kind of moved on and didn't deal with it. And so the author is kind of recounting that. David Antonini from GBC's Pahrump campus will be leading that discussion. And then May 2nd, our last one of the year, we will be doing a discussion of the anthology of Japanese American incarceration writing. That book is in the GBC library now, so you're welcome to go get that. That one has a lot of various selections from various Japanese American authors who experienced the incarceration. So yeah, that'll be our last one of the year. It should be really interesting, and it'll pair with our Asian American and Pacific Islander History Month. So.
Right, as though we could ever forget the beautiful
Right.
crane making experience
Right.
extravaganza of last year, certainly. So that the poetry, the anthology, where can we find that at any library, would you say, Katie? Or
The Latino poetry?
Yes.
We're going to actually order more copies for the GBC library. So that one, we will have copies available. Certainly, if you are a poetry nerd like me, my husband and I each have a copy because we love it.
Because you don't want to be playing tug of war.
Right. So that one's available, anywhere that you buy books on the internet. But we will have copies of that one in the GBC library shortly.
Okay, all right. Great Basin College Library, by the way, is open to not just students, I understand. So
It's open to the public as well, yeah.
yes, so that's a great collaboration to have, the Nevada System of Higher Education. And we have 4 campuses throughout the Elko area. It's nice that you're doing that outreach, Katie, because Ely has a beautiful, vibrant community of artists and their own unique culture, as does Pahrump, as you mentioned. And then, of course, in Winnemucca, and I don't think I'm forgetting anyone. Ely, Elko, Winnemucca, Pahrump. So
Yeah. And one of my goals that President Donnelly kind of charged me with, but one goal that I already wanted to be doing was figure out how to do more events at each of the campuses. So Nevada Humanities and Nevada Outdoor School and I have been talking about doing the same kind of nature walk at some of the other locations because we all have access to really beautiful outdoor areas. For me, the natural world inspires the humanities. Like there's just a direct link there. So anytime I can get people outside and doing creativity, I think it's better.
And if you can do it with dogs, it's even better.
Even better, yes.
All right. Katie, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Lori.
Katie Karnehm-Esh is Humanities Center Coordinator for Great Basin College. You can find their Facebook page, find them online, all kinds of ways you can find them in person on campus at GBC. So we wanted to wrap up today's program with Kyara Hernandez-Duarte, the winner of Nevada Poetry Out Loud, and she is headed to Washington, D.C. in May, and so we're going to get to see you perform here in Elko, which is fantastic. And do you have plans, obviously, hopefully using all that scholarship money, right? Plans for after Elko High School?
Yeah. I would say my plans after high school include going to Swarthmore College. I got accepted in December, early decision, so I'm headed over there. It's about 20 minutes from Philadelphia, and so it's a pretty big move, but I really loved it. I got to visit the campus late October, and I just fell in love with it, so that's where I'll be. I hope to double major in political science and Latin American studies, and hopefully some law school after that, and yeah.
You really are going to save us.
That's the goal.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, Kyara. And I know that behind every accomplishment, and sometimes for some people who struggle every day, just getting out of bed and getting a good meal and finding support, there's somebody supporting them. And I know that you thanked your teachers. We all love our teachers so much. But you also have a very supportive family. Your sister's here.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, I'm so grateful for my family. They are so supportive, and my parents have been able to be a lot more involved in my public speaking this year. They've taken me to competitions, and that's been a good bonding experience for us. My 3 older sisters are always on top of everything. If anything gets posted, they're the first ones to send it to me. And so, yeah, I'm just super grateful for their support and encouragement. It's been fundamental.
My goodness, you have 3 old. I was just
3,
looking at
yes.
Michelle. And yes, Michelle's here. Well, what a wonderful family. Do you mind if I say hi to your parents, to Francisco Hernandez and Alba Duarte?
My gosh, of course.
Okay, because I wanted to make sure that that they know, because parenting is difficult.
Yes.
And again, these have been challenging times, but you have accomplished so much, and we're just so proud of you. This is just fantastic.
So much.
Yes.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
So again, we'll look forward to seeing Kyara Hernandez-Duarte. She'll be on campus. Actually, she'll be poetry reading at the Western Folklife Center, and that will be on April 14th, in evening poetry reading, free admission, a chance to celebrate poetry and our local poets. And then you might be on hand for the poetry workshop. Who knows, right? Okay.
She's going to be a plant.
Perfect. Yes, good. And that's actually, it's a good idea. Anybody who's interested in the arts, or in, as you've mentioned, you've had a great education at Elko High School, taken advantage of a lot of opportunities. But I'm sure you'd be happy to point someone in the right direction if they like to follow in your footsteps.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say definitely just get involved in everything that speaks to you, and no pun intended. But yeah, definitely speech and debate, poetry out loud. I mean, the reason I really competed in poetry out loud is because for my speech and debate class, it's a requirement. All public speaking, speech and debate, drama, and creative writing classes, I believe, have to do the class level and then the school level from there. And so definitely just get involved. And I mean, everything is so much more learnable than you believe. And so it's not all innate. You can definitely grow those skills, but that passion, if you find something you're passionate about, definitely stick to it.
Thank you so much. We are looking forward to seeing you perform here in Elko. And with that, I guess we'll, until we meet again, Katie. Yeah. Katie and I are both, dabbing our eyes because we're just so pleased. And the poetry was so beautiful. I know. Thank you again, Kyara.
Thank you all so much.
And thank you to Katie Karnehm-Esh, Humanities Center Coordinator at Great Basin College, for a wonderful program today.